Hi guys, good morning. Happy Monday. Hello. It is the Monday after the 4th of July here in the US. If you're watching from Canada or somewhere else on the continent, we had 4th of July here in the US. And so it was quite the weekend. How was your guys' 4th? How was it? When you're here on Facebook, let me know you're here. Let me know where you're watching from. I'm like really curious. I think it's really fun to see where different people are watching from. So let me know. So we were in Utah. I was with some clients and friends and family this holiday, and it was awesome. However, I do have to say, like, even though I eat really well, good morning, Brianna, even though I typically eat really well, I have that like 80-20 rule. For 20% of the time, I won't, right? And if I want something, I will allow myself to have it without guilt any longer. I mean, I remember there was a time in my life, and I know you guys can probably relate to this, or some of you can, where you would feel guilty about anything that you allowed yourself to have that wasn't good for you or wasn't a good food. And you guys know I talk about this a lot. I talk about food is not good or bad, right? It doesn't have like an inherent integrity value, right? And I think that our culture puts far too much emphasis on good or bad food. And I think that, good or bad food is all about perspective. So I do eat typically clean food 80% of the time, but sometimes, I like to go off the reservation and have a little something different. So what I wanted to talk to you guys about, the title of this live today was 3 ways you can cure some brain fog after the 4th of July. So even though a lot of us out there that are watching, are really health-minded, sometimes there's a time where you want to have possibly, a little bit of something special on a holiday. You might want to indulge in your favorite dessert, or you might have one more beer than you typically would have. I'm not sure. For me this weekend, I ate pretty clean, but there were a few things that kind of did slow me down, and I'm feeling that today. So I wanted to share that with you. I'm a little foggy. Like my brain's not quite firing as rapidly or as quickly as I'd like it to this morning. I'm a little slower today, a little less energy. We traveled a lot this weekend. We ate food out a lot, right? We indulged a little bit. So all of those things adding up, and my sleep was a little off. So all those things adding up, like, kind of made me feel a little foggy today. So I wanted to share some things that I do when I'm feeling a little foggy and run down, and just like things aren't really computing the way or as fast as they should as I'm trying to focus this morning and get organized for my clients, my calls, and my day. So the first thing that I want to share with you is this thing called an adaptogen. So a lot of people out there right now are talking about herbal adaptogens. A lot of people call them nootropics, which is basically an herbal supplement or remedy that helps your brain react quicker, focus more intensely, quicker on the response, right? So it's brain food. Some of these adaptogens are. And so there's a new adaptogen that people are utilizing in a lot of compounds, and it's called a nootropic. It's called Bacopa. 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 So sorry, Instagram's being, there's somebody being rude on Instagram. So I'm going to actually end this, and then come back to it. Sorry guys, there was really bad comment on Instagram. I don't like that, but I have to get rid of it. I can't just stay on and act like nothing's happening. I think that's part of the problem when people are nasty on Instagram. So I'm just gonna restart it. Sorry guys. So what I was saying is there's this herb called Bacopa. So Bacopa is in a lot of nutritional products, that you can take this herb separately. And Bacopa is incredible for brain focus, cognitive development. It also really helps your everything kind of fire rapidly. So if you're feeling super foggy, Bacopa is an adaptogen that is really, really great to keep your brain on point. So it's something that I do regularly. I like Bacopa. So I have a supplement that has a few different nootropics in it, but Bacopa is one of them. So you can even put it in your smoothies in the morning to kind of get your brain going a little bit faster. So Bacopa is definitely something that I would recommend. The other thing that I wanted to share with you guys about really trying to get your brain re-energized and focused is the number 2 thing out there right now to do that is to really, I know this is counterintuitive, but you want to take down your caffeine. And I know that people, hi Sandra, I know that people really push like, oh, have coffee to get yourself going in the morning, but sometimes too much coffee can actually have a negative effect on your brain. So what I want to share with you guys is if you're really used to having like 2 or 3 cups of coffee, today it's like, maybe try if you're feeling a little foggy to instead of doing coffee, doing green tea. So I think that's really important to do is, just switch it up. Maybe have 1 cup of coffee if you can't get off of it. And then maybe instead of doing 1 cup of coffee and then another cup of coffee, do a cup of green tea. It has some caffeine in it, but not as much. All right. Yeah, the mushroom coffee is really great for that too. Lion's mane is another adaptogen. My friend Sandra is a vegan and she's very much into health. She's talking about mushroom coffee. It's amazing for brain activity and function without that, too much caffeine in your system. I like lion's mane. That's also another adaptogen you can put. The Four Sigmatic is a great brand. Yes, I've had that before. It's delicious. So I kind of switch off between coffee and green tea. I try to do green tea on days where I'm foggy. And then I do love lion's mane. It's another adaptogen, which I was going to talk about next, Sandra. It's funny, that you can add to your smoothies. You can even take it in a pill form nowadays, but it is a mushroom and it's powerful nootropic for your brain. And it helps with not only cognition, but it also helps with memory, long-term and short-term memory. It's also been proven to really they're seeing a lot of studies with lion's mane mushroom extract that it can actually start to reduce dementia and Alzheimer's, which is incredible, right? Incredible. So if you're thinking about natural remedies to get brain cognition and function up and running, the 2 biggest adaptogens and tips I'm going to give you today for nootropics are going to be the Copa and also the lion's mane, specifically lion's mane mushroom extract. So my friend Sandra is on here talking about it, and she uses the Four Sigmatic brand. I love Four Sigmatic, but sometimes if you don't want the tea, you can also just take it in powder in a smoothie. You can add it to a green juice. You can do any of that to kind of really get yourself back on track. And Sandra thinks she takes the lion's mane supplement. So I take the powder and I actually use a brand called Terrasol, Terrasol, and I put the powder in my smoothies in the morning. Lion's mane is great for that. So those are 2 things that I regularly do. If you're looking for, hi Isidro, hi Mary Beth, good morning you guys, thanks for joining. So those are 2 of the adaptogens that I would highly recommend for brain fog. And I think that another thing to remember is when your brain's a little foggy, it's a good indicator that there's a few things that you might be lacking in your nutrition. So I don't think people talk about this enough. And sometimes brain fog is directly related in these 3 particular nutrients. So I'm going to tell you these 3 nutrients, and so that's my 3rd tip, to make sure you're double upping on these things, right? Yes, Terrasol is one of my favorite brands too, Sandra. So we've got the Bacopa, we've got the lion's mane or mushroom extract, and then the 3rd tip I'm going to give you today is there's 3 things you might be deficient in. So what I think that people don't get is that, our body is completely like synergistic, right? Like it's working together all of the time. It's a holistic, functional, like just force of energy. And so when one thing's off, it can have this spiral effect, this cascade effect that can start shifting your hormones, your adrenal glands, your endocrine system, and can leave you feeling really funky. Believe it or not, your hormones really play a part in how your brain functions. Isn't that interesting? So what I want to share with you is there's 3 vitamins and deficiencies that you might need to get more of in order to increase your brain activity. So the first one is vitamin B12. Vitamin B12. So vitamin B12 is a great energy booster, but it's a great energy booster for your brain too. It's not just for athletic ability or, energy for your physical self. It's also for your brain. So if you're not getting enough B12, you really want to look into a B12 supplement, especially if you are a vegetarian or a vegan, which I was for a very long time. Getting that B12 is really, really important. So another way you can get B12, and a lot of vegans get it this way, is if you're not comfortable taking a pill, you can take it in like liquid form, which is a lot easier for some people to get down. The other thing that's really great about vitamin B12 is if you can use nutritional yeast. Nutritional yeast has tons, it's a vegan and vegetarian form, and has tons of vitamin B12 and B6 and all of the gamut. So nutritional yeast is something you can sprinkle on your roasted veggies, you can sprinkle it on your salad, you can kind of sprinkle it on anything and get a good flavor that doesn't get overwhelming. So it's kind of got a nutty flavor to it. It's also really good in like curries or sauces, and Sandra would know this too, she's a vegan chef, she's amazing. But adding nutritional yeast to your foods, if you're feeling brain foggy, is a good way to get B12. Okay, the next thing that people don't think about is vitamin D. So if you're feeling especially foggy with your brain, and I'm feeling that way today, so if you're feeling especially foggy with your brain, vitamin D, vitamin D is incredibly important to make sure that you're getting so that your brain can function properly. Again, people don't think of vitamin D as a nutritional like vitamin, I mean like hormone supplement, but really vitamin D is an actual hormone. And your body produces vitamin D as a hormone. So what we want to think about is if our hormones are responsible for our brain function and kind of running the show of our body, right? We want to make sure that vitamin D is we're getting enough, especially if you're not outside a lot. If you're like sitting at a desk all day and you're not outside getting fresh air and sunlight, you really want to make sure you're getting a vitamin D supplement. So I personally take 5,000 IUs of vitamin D per day, which I think is great. And I think that vitamin D is an important thing that all of us should be getting more of. There was a time that I was deficient in vitamin D and my doctor actually had me on 10,000 IUs. So you can get excessive amounts. So I would start with anywhere between 2,000 and 5,000. If you get sunlight, maybe 2,000. If you don't, 5,000 is great. So for me, I tend to be a little low in vitamin D always. So I try to get 5,000 IUs a day. You can also do that in a droplet form if you don't like pills. So there's always a solution, right? But if you're not a vegan or vegetarian and you do get like, you know, your eggs and your salmon, it has a lot of vitamin D in it as well. So there's different nutritional things you can do also. So the third thing that is my tip today if you're feeling brain foggy is you're not getting enough DHA. So what is DHA? So DHA is a chemical compound that comes in forms of like omega-3s and good fatty acids. So a lot of women that are dieting too, that are always on a diet and they're on like this low fat kind of diet or they're afraid of fat in their diet, you know, they're typically low in DHA. And DHA is incredibly important, again, for the synthesis of vitamin D, the synthesis of your endocrine system, so making sure that all of your hormones are working synergistically together. And also, what happens with DHA is it actually improves your brain gray matter. So it's like it actually protects all of the soft, like squishy gray stuff that helps our brain stay fluid and mushy and hydrated. So DHA actually keeps all of that fresh and bouncy and spongy kind of, right? So I think that that's really, really important. So a lot of times it's important for us to understand that it's not just one thing, it's this synergistic thing. So when one thing's kind of broken down, if we have excessive inflammation in our bodies from maybe not eating correctly, not sleeping appropriately, then what happens is our brain also gets inflamed, right? And taking down some of that inflammation is super important. So these are some tips that you can do to get your brain activity up, get your brain fog down, and get your inflammation lower as well. So hopefully that helps you guys today. And remember, you know, those are the 3 tips. So make sure you're getting those 3 nutritional vitamins in daily. That's the vitamin D, that's the DHA, which can be found in omega-3 supplements, vitamin B12. Okay. The 2 other tips that are super important. I saw that, Sandra. I knew you didn't mean cars. I knew you meant fats. The other 2 things that are super important are those nootropics I mentioned. So any kind of really high quality lion's mane extract is very important for your brain activity. The other thing that's really important is this really powerful new nootropic they've found that has great impact on our brain's ability to focus, which is called Copa. So those are adaptogens. Okay, so those are the 3 tips I want to give you. Make sure you're you're getting enough nutrients with the vitamin B12, the D, and the omega-3s, which has the DHA in it. The 2 other things are try to increase maybe your adaptogens. So looking at a Copa supplement or a lion's mane extract supplement would be powerful for you guys. Okay, so hopefully that was supportive for you. I didn't want to come on here today and talk about so much as, oh, you ate a bunch of stuff on the 4th of July and now you need to like cleanse it out. No, we can let go of that, like it happened, right? It's not always about weight loss being health, right? It's about brain health. It's about energy. It's about all those things. It's not always about weight, right? So I want us to focus more on keeping our bodies healthy, our brains firing at our highest capacity so we can be as functional and as high performing as we want to be in our life. And also just keep the focus not always on weight, right? Like I said, there's no food that's good or bad, right? It's really about, you guys, you really have to get out of this thing of food is good or bad. It doesn't have an inherent value, right? It's the mindset we put on food that makes it good or bad. It's the abuse of food that makes it good or bad, right? You could be eating a lot of salads or a lot of like anything excessively and it could be bad for you. Like you don't want to eat anything excessively. So I hate putting that label on things like, oh, that's good or bad. We just need to start neutralizing food, right? And when we can neutralize food, we stop putting so much energy on it. And when we stop putting so much energy on it, it doesn't become a problem anymore, right? When you're giving your power away to like keeping food at the forefront of your mind all the time about being bad or good, it really takes away a lot of powerful moments of your life. I talk about this a lot. But let's keep the focus on health and keeping us healthy and feeling good and energetic. Sound good? Right? And your body, form follows function. I say that all the time, but if you're taking really good care of your body, if your hormones are correct, if you're sleeping well, if you're getting moderate amount of exercise, sunshine, water, good fuel, lots of greens, healthy fats, hey guys, your body's going to follow suit, right? And it will become less of an issue for you. So let's focus on function instead of form. And when we do that, things will shift. So today, instead of beating yourself up over maybe eating one extra piece of pie, or whatever you had, or one extra, or maybe you had too many chips this weekend, just let it go, move on, and get your body back in a nice healthy rhythm. And you can start there by getting your brain right, because it all starts here anyway, right? But Copa is a nootropic, Sandra. It's an herbal adaptogen. So it's an herb, and it's a great brain cognitive energy herb. So it gives your brain a lot of clarity. And you can also get that from Terrasol, just in case you wanted to grab some. It's amazing. I get it in, and you said, well, it was a few extra pieces of raw vegan cheesecake. That sounds delicious too. So again, it doesn't matter what it is, right? We can still, overindulge in different areas. So stop labeling food and instead just give yourself a break. Give yourself some grace, right? All right, you guys, listen, have a healthy week. Have a healthy week, and take care of your body and your mind, and sleep, drink water, and follow those 3 tips, and your brain fog will go away, I promise. And I'll see you guys on Wednesday, okay? Have a great week. Bye, guys.